We are talking gene keys and human design for your business today. And I am so excited. Usually I come in here and I have like lessons planned out and things that we're talking about, and I answer questions as we go along. But today I'm feeling kind of like groovy. I'm just like chilling. And honestly, whatever is supposed to come through, I know always comes through. And so some of the things that I've been considering lately, whenever I think about my gene keys, and it's so funny, if you're brand spanking new to gene keys, this is like a deep dive into your human design and astrology. It tells you all of the things that make you different, all the things that make you shine. And I love, love, love to utilize them for business. So other people may come across these gene keys and look at them and really use them for like, maybe they dive into relationships, maybe they dive into their health. But like for me, I have always seen these gene keys as like a map to success in your business. I'm a 5-year entrepreneur. I have been a lavender farmer, psychic medium, doing all these different things. And it wasn't until I came across my gene keys that I really, really started to understand all of the things that made me different and how I was like sleeping on these secret talents that were hidden inside my DNA. They were just like there waiting for me to say, hey, I see you. Like, what would happen? What would happen if we would show up in our business with this energy? Like, what would happen? So one of my very favorite examples, and I feel like this is so strong. And if, like I said, if you're brand spanking new to Gene Keys, make sure you go Google free Gene Key profile. And whenever you do that, the Gene Key website will come up, or the second one is Health Manifested will come up. So either one of those websites work. The Gene Key one is usually a little quicker, but you type in your date, time, location of birth, and it tells you like all of these circles. It will give you all of these words, all of these circles. And I remember the first time I looked at this chart and I was like, what in the flippity flop does all of this mean? Because when you look at a human design chart, you're like, that's a body. I understand chakras, like this makes sense. But whenever you look at a gene key chart, it's like, holy crap, like what are all of these crazy circles? Like, I don't know what this means. And so it took me a long time to sit there and decode these keys and understand like, okay, all of this writing about these gene keys, it's all very poetic. It's all very beautiful, but it wasn't really easy to comprehend. And so back in the day, I needed like gene keys for dummies. I needed something like simple, sweet, to the point. And so that's why I started to learn about the gene keys through the lens of the archetypes, rather than just like what all of these different gene keys mean and all of these different words, because like, A, that can get kind of confusing, and B, like, I'm not here for like, okay, as like airy fairy as I used to be, like, I'm not here for like the cryptic stuff anymore. I'm like, give me practical, give me to the point, give me like words that I can understand to like inspire me so I can take this and run with it in my business. So the gene keys are like a deep dive into your human design and astrology. This is like basically if you were to look at your human design chart, which is based on the date, time, location you were born, it's almost like a little claw machine goes over to your human design chart and it plucks out some of the really important planetary placements and it puts it over in this chart for you to like help you understand yourself better. And so there's a sphere that talks about the energy of your career. There's a sphere that talks about like your vocation, like what you bring into your work. There's one that talks about your purpose work, how you make money, how you shine from the inside out, how you grow and evolve. And so all of these things, it helps you just understand yourself that much better. And they call the gene keys a living transmission. And I feel like that's a really good way of putting it, because for me, whenever I came across this information, and like I said, it was kind of complex and hard to like understand at first, but whenever I came across this information, it felt like a million lightning bolts hitting my system, like inside of my organs. Like I could feel my liver, I could feel my cells, like all of these things just like turning on. And it was just like, reading these things about yourself, it was the same as, back whenever you'd take like a personality quiz or like a cosmopolitan test, like anything like that, but to about a million degrees higher, because it's like, whoa, okay, from the date, time, location that I was born, like I just have a natural affinity to some of these things. Like I just kind of came into this world, like my soul busted on the scene with these certain gifts that like I have a little bit more of than maybe Joe Schmo next door, And so I never limit my understanding of myself to just the keys that are in my chart. And this is where I like bust through the rules of human design and gene keys, because at the end of the day, we have to understand that this is channeled out information and we use it for fuel. We use it for inspiration to like light our fire, not as something that keeps us in a box. So it's the same way. I love to use the example, like, if you're a projector and you just like sit there and wait around for the invitation all day, it's like da, 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 da. Some of the most successful projectors that I've ever seen are the ones that actually put themselves out there and then people invite them in. So don't ever keep yourself in a box just because of the information that you learn. Like, I always love to put that out there first and foremost, because I have learned so much from my own personal gene keys in the way that I show up in business, like where it's helped me attract clients. It's helped me whenever I like make content and make offers. And it's helped me to understand myself even more so that I can make money doing the things that I love. But also, I've learned so much from gene keys that aren't even in my chart at all. These ones that I've done readings for other people, and I'd be like, "Ooh, that's very, very interesting. Like that's a really cool thing. I actually would love to turn that on in my system." So each and every one of us has all 64 of these gene keys. So there's 64 gene keys. If you pull up your chart, there's 11 different spheres, 11 different circles. Those all mean something different. And then inside each one of those spheres, that first number is your gene key, and that second number it's called a line. It's behind the decimal. And so that first number can be 1 through 64. So I love to tell people, think about it in the way of like racehorses. There's 64 different racehorses, but for our sake and our visuals, we're going to put like, there's Palominos in there, there's paint horses in there, there's ponies, there's Arabians, like there's Clydesdales, there's all these 64 different horses. And so each one of those 64 different horses represents the 64 different gene keys. And then for the number after the decimal, aka the line, and if you're familiar with human design in like the profile lines in human design, you're going to understand like the taste of this. The gene keys just takes those lines further. But so that first number, like those 64 different horses. That second number, you can think of it like 6 different jockeys that would ride the horse. One's got a blue shirt, one's got a purple shirt, one's got a yellow shirt. One of them's funny, one of them's sassy, one of them's like more of a loner. And so you grab, like, for example, my life's work is the 32.5. So first and foremost, we're focusing on that one sphere, that top sphere that has a lot of information about the energy of my career. And so inside of that sphere, so you can almost think about that as like the racetrack, like where are we holding this? Like where is this coming to fruition? And so you look at that, and then it's a 32.5. So we, out of the 64 gene keys, the 64 horses, are going to grab that 32nd horse. Right. And that's going to be how my energy and my career plays out. Like that's going to be kind of like the undercurrent, the underbelly of what I do. And I can go into a little bit later how you can use these either like very, very literally or very, very figuratively. It's totally up to you what you feel called to. But so think about it. I grabbed that 32nd horse, and then that number after the decimal, we think about that as the 6 jockeys. And so because mine's a 32.5, we'll grab the 5th jockey to ride that horse. And so you could see how if there would be a different horse or a different jockey, how the race might turn out differently, because everybody has such different energy. And I am not a mathematician, but if you think about, there's 11 different circles, different spheres in your gene key chart, 11 different ways you can show up with this energy, then the 64 gene keys, then the 6 different lines in each one of them. No wonder we're all so different. Like, no wonder we're all so unique. And so like have our own way of doing things, So it's really, really interesting once you start playing with all of these gene keys and understanding that, like, yes, it can seem very, very complex at first, but I am here to teach people about how to do this in like a fun, easy, simple way where it feels like it clicks for you rather than feeling like a foreign language. So that's what I've always been very passionate about since I learned this information, because I knew I was like, I could use Gene Keys for Dummies right now, but like Gene Keys for Dummies did not exist whenever I started learning this information and started applying it to business. But yeah, and again, like when it comes to applying it to business, this is what makes you so different, and it makes you stand out from the crowd. Like whenever you have this basically map to success, you show up online differently. So if you currently have an online business, it doesn't matter if you make fancy pancakes or if you are a spiritual entrepreneur or if you are a business coach, like if you're a virtual assistant coach, like whatever you do, you have your own flavor and flair that you bring to it. And so I'm just going to use like my chart as an example quite a bit as we talk today, because like I was my very first own experiment with this. Like I was my own guinea pig with seeing how this worked out for me so that I could understand it and start helping other business owners understand themselves more and become more of themselves so they could attract clients and show up online in a totally different way. And so for me, a big one that like keeps unfolding again and again is the radiance gene key. And if you were to look at your chart, your 11 different circles, the radiance doesn't really ever get talked about that much. I know not even like most people talk about gene keys, but like I never see a lot of people talking about the radiance. And for me, it's been such an important one. So if you're looking at your chart, it's the one furthest to the left. It's green, it's furthest to the left. And that is all about how you shine from the inside out. All about how you shine from the inside out and basically how you become a lighthouse to the people that want to work with you, that are looking for you. And so what I learned is that my radiance key is the 56. And the 56 is all about being a storyteller and all about like bringing fun, like bringing a comedic sense into your work. And so two of these things I was not doing in my work at all, because whenever I started showing up for my online business, I had sold my lavender company. I was a lavender farmer. I was doing like psychic medium work on the side. But whenever I came across these gene keys, I was like, holy shit, like people need to know about this. Like more people need to learn about this to help them like find what their strengths are, find what makes them unique. But so I started showing up. So somebody live talking about this. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Whenever I started, nobody was talking about this stuff. And so that's been like my past over a year now, is just like getting online and sharing how I understand these gene keys, how I see them in a different way, how you can use them for business. But whenever I started showing up for my online business, I thought that I had to be like prim and proper. I thought that I needed to use like neutral colors. I thought that like I needed to just be this like contained normal person. Like I'm very like calm, cool, and collected. That is true, but there is a part of me that is straight up weird. That is straight up like eccentric and goofy and bubbly and magical. And I wasn't showing that part of me in my business. And so whenever it came to like creating content, whenever it came to even like attracting clients, like I wasn't doing that because I didn't feel like myself. I was trying to be somebody else online and like somebody else's version of success. And even though I was teaching these gene keys, I wasn't utilizing them to the fullest extent, because you're going to find out that like once you learn these gene keys, like it's just going to keep unfolding and it's just going to keep getting deeper and better and understanding yourself more and more. So it's not even just like a one and done. It's you learn this thing, you start applying it, and then it unfolds more from there. So it's really cool. And I am not somebody that talks about these gene keys in the sense of contemplation. Do I believe that contemplation and like sitting with this and letting it marinate in your system is a good thing? Yes, of course, because we're going to learn more the more that we sit with an idea and we let it unfold. But where I differ in the way that I see these gene keys is the fact that like these are little road markers to help you take action. These are ideas that you can take action on and you can move on and you can see what you're capable of. So I love using them whenever it comes to turning on our higher qualities. I love using them whenever it comes to like, hey, what moves can I make next that would be really successful for me in my business and my strategy and the way that I show up. And so yeah, for a long time, I had that 56 gene key in my radiance, but I was showing up like the pulse was barely there. You know what I mean? Like I was just trying to be so serious and try to be somebody that I wasn't, because I thought that's what would make me successful online. And it turns out the moment that I let myself start having like a lot of fun, like unexplainable fun that like doesn't always even make sense to other people, like is the moment that I started attracting in a lot more clients. And so for me, that looked like bringing in memes, like so simple, so goofy, but like memes that literally made me laugh as I would make them, I'd put those out there and people would be like, oh my God, like I love this. I want to work with you. Like tell me more about what you do. Because I was letting myself show up with that radiance gene key, with that sense of humor. Like for a long time, whenever I started posting, all of my stuff was just like gold and black and like beautiful, great, whatever. But like I'm a rainbow squirrel. Like I'm colorful and crazy. So like I was hiding that part of me to try to be professional. And the gene keys were like, girl, for you to shine, for you to show up in your best energy, like you've got to be different. You got to be bright. You got to be fun. And it just took some practice. You know what I mean? Because like whenever we learn these gene keys, it's really funny because it's like, okay, yes, this is like your secret abilities that you have that other people don't have. But at the same time, it's kind of like a pair of jeans where you got to put on this pair of jeans and you got to stretch it out. Like your talents don't just like show up at your doorstep fully wrapped up in a package with a bow being like, this is perfect, you're here. It's like, no. Once you lean into those, like the way that you develop it is what becomes the gold. So for me, another one of my keys that like, it said it was all about using the voice. It's a 60-second gene key. It was like, once you use your voice, you will never be the same. And I was like, okay, like I know I need to be using my voice now. Like I know I need to be doing this, but I'm scared. And so I knew I had an affinity to use my voice, but I would sweat my face off whenever I got on lives. I would feel really uncomfortable making videos. I would feel really nervous about like, who's going to take me seriously or like the expert or blah, 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 blah. And it took practice. Like it took practice. It's been a year now that I've been showing up and teaching online on a very regular basis, like almost daily. For a long time there, it was daily that I was getting on camera. I was using my voice and I was talking to get to this point where I am now. And so, yes, your gene keys will point you in the direction of what makes you successful. But at the end of the day, you've got to take action too. Like you've got to move. Like we are not in the airy fairy realm of spirituality that's just about energy. This is bringing in mindset work, what you actually believe about yourself. So I had to believe that I had a strong voice in there that like wanted to come out and wanted to play. I had to believe that about myself, but then I actually had to like show up and like get my hands dirty and see what I was capable of with using my voice. Just plug in the date, time, location. How do you know what all the numbers mean? Okay, so this is like what I teach my friend, like all about what this stuff means. Make sure you follow me over here. Follow me on Instagram because I post about this daily and how to use it for your business. But also, if you want to learn how to read these gene keys in a fun, easy, potent, quick way, like in a way that they're not being taught anywhere else on the internet, my class is open and we actually start the live round in mid-September, but you get instant access whenever you sign up for the pre-sale. You get instant access to the round one that we did back in May, where I like decode all of the different things, like help you to understand how to use each one of those gene keys and each one of those lines to help yourself show up differently in business. But you get lifetime access to this program. So this is like the lowest I'm ever going to have it. I'm passionate about teaching this in a way that's like easily digestible, because a lot of other things that you see out there, like especially just like the main way of learning gene keys, it's a little cryptic and it didn't have a lot of like flair and flavor and fun that I was like hungry for. And so that's why I created this course, was to like teach it. And then you also get like hot seat coaching in there too. And it's just a really fun community that just keeps building. So if you want to go like deep into it so that you can use it for yourself and use it for your clients, like learn how to do this for your clients. And it doesn't matter if you're a virtual assistant, it doesn't matter if you do human design readings, if you're a business coach, like you can use this and infuse it into the work that you do with people to help them understand what it is that makes them different. What it is their superpower, is their strength. And so, yeah, there's a lot that goes into each one of these, but I love to break them down in an easy way. Hey, just want to stop by and tell you great job on continuing with your mission. Well, thank you very much, Neff. I appreciate you. It's good to see you again. Okay. But yeah, so if you're wanting to learn it in a fun way, that program is going to be perfect for you. I'm really excited about the second round because we're going to be going deep into each 64 of the gene keys. Where in the first round, we really covered like the lines in each one of those and like what each one of those circles mean and how you could use it in your business. And so we're going to go even deeper into all 64. So I love teaching these in a way that like paints pictures for people and like makes sense, because sometimes this information can feel very like airy fairy. Sometimes it can feel like, okay, but how do I like bring this down to earth and actually start applying this? And so for me, like if you're just beginning this and you're like, what does a certain like gene key mean? Like you can go Google, like if you have in your life's work, the gene key 15, go Google gene key 15. And there's two places that I like to go to start playing with these different ideas, these different archetypes. And the first one is the website's called Unlock Your Design. And they have like a picture, they have an archetype so that you can like start playing around with this idea. But the second one, her name is Christy Anij, and she talks about it from the view of human design, but she actually like labels them as archetypes. And so I see the human design gates and gene keys as interchangeable. Richard Rudd, who channeled out the gene keys, actually studied under Ra Uru, who did human design. All of this stuff comes from like inspiration from the Chinese I Ching as well. I Ching, whatever. And so it's one of those things that like, once you understand somebody else's interpretation of it, it helps you to kind of make your own. I'm very, very big on teaching people how to interpret these gene keys in their own way, because if you've been, I don't know if you've been on like human design Instagram for a while, but when everybody says the same thing over and over and over and over again, it literally like grinds my gears so much, because I'm like, say it your own way, like interpret it in your own terms. Because like, if we want to learn about it directly from the source, you'll go directly from the source. But if you want to learn about it in a way that like plays, like tickles your brain and like plays with a different part of your creativity, like every single one of us, it doesn't matter what you're teaching, whether you're teaching fitness, whether you're teaching human design, whether you decide to teach gene keys, like you're going to have your own way of interpreting it that is so beautiful and that makes sense for other people. So I don't ever want to hear from people like, oh, but there's already so many other humans doing the things that I do. It's like, no, 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 no. Like you are not meant to be a cookie cutter. You don't regurgitate information. That's not what you're here to do. You're here to take this information that you learn about something that you love and to put it in your own terms, to show up in your own energy. So like I was saying, there's like, there's other people that do human design, or like have been, a lot of human design readers have been talking about gene keys lately, but like they're not going to show up with the same energy that I do. And so that's how we know we attract different people into our worlds, because not everybody is going to look at my Instagram profile and be like, oh my God, that Kermit the Frog meme is so funny. Like, but for the people that think it's funny, they'll be like, this girl is for me. Like, this is the kind of person that I want to work with. I like her sense of humor. But this is where our gene keys help us to like understand what our strengths are and how we can show up differently in business. So 3 of them that I really, really love, if you're looking at your gene key chart for the first time, 3 of them that I really love whenever it comes to like, what is the energy of my career? Because I'm very entrepreneurial spirit. And like, I always love to learn more about like the energy of my career, but is the life's work. Cause that's how you, oh, there's Bradley. I have a corgi assistant that helps me. Bradley, are you tired? Hey, Bradley. The people want to see you, Bradley. The people want to see you. Jesus, he's a supermodel. I gotta get this set back up. But yeah, the 3 that I really like is the life's work, which is also like your branding, how you show up and just like kind of like put your energy out there. So this is very focused in on like your human design profile lines. Most human design readers that you will talk to are so fully focused on type and authority, which is a beautiful thing. That's what they love. That's what they enjoy teaching. But I am a profile line nerd. Like I think that the profile lines are the cat's pajamas, and that is going to tell you exactly how you need to show up in your business. I think it's so fun because for me personally, that life's work, like understanding that gene key in there and how I brand myself best, how I show up best in my business, like changed literally everything. Like it changed the trajectory of my business, because I realized, and if you're a line 5 or if you have a line 5 in your profile, drop an emoji, because I'm very passionate. I've been working with a lot of line 5s lately and a lot of manifesting generators lately. So that has been my secret sauce lately, working with all those peeps. But I'm a line 5. And so I found out that actually I don't need to go into the ooey gooey details all the time. I don't need to like take people through this emotional ride with me. I just need to show up. It's like almost like I'm throwing a smoke bomb. I show up, I give somebody a tip, I give somebody like a lesson, and then I throw the smoke bomb again and I disappear. Like that's how quick, whenever you're a 5, that you can just like throw information out there, because it's very like lickety split practical wisdom. And so for the longest time, I used to try to create content around like really long novellas and like all of these carousel posts. And like I still make carousel posts sometimes, but like I was trying to show up with like all of this information and just like info dump. And really all people needed from me was like lickety split, quick wisdom. And then I started showing up differently in my business. I started being able to like get on these lives and hold myself differently because I had so much more energy, because I wasn't putting energy into the things that were like draining me and didn't feel good. And now people respond to my posts and how I show up differently because I'm coming from my profile line. I'm coming from my specific branding. So that's just like one of the groovy things that we talk about and go into more detail about in my Gene Key course, the Decode Your Keys. Another one that I really, really love is if you're looking at your vocation. And the vocation, if you're like looking at the top triangle over to the left-hand side in the blue, that vocation is basically like your greatest wound turned into your biggest asset. Crimson Gypsy. Why is that such a beautiful name? Oh my God, I love that. I love that so much. I used to watch all of the gypsy shows for a long time, and where they'd like dress up and have their birthdays and weddings. And like, oh my God, that used to be one of my mom and I's like favorite pastimes, was all about the gypsies. Okay. So a 3-5 generator. So the way that you use your 5, I'm a generator too, by the way. The way that you use your voice with that 5 line is really cool, because it's like you get to be playful. You get to be adventurous first with that 3 line. Like you get to trip and fall if you want. Like you are the one out of all of the human design profile lines that is the most relatable. Like people feel you, and they see you as an authority, but honestly, like you make them feel more human. You make them feel more understood, and people are magnetized to other people like that because they don't feel so alone. Like whenever you just show up and you use your sense of humor, because like with your little 3, you have such a good sense of humor. And you get to share your experiences of like basically shit that didn't work out or didn't work out exactly according to plan. You get to share that through a really funny lens, and then get up on your soapbox. So it's almost like you go out and play, right? You get your hands dirty, you see what works and what doesn't. And then you step away and you step up on your soapbox and you speak it out to people, and you tell people what it is that you learned from that situation. And through that, you get to get really clear about like what your opinions are about that stuff, because it's like whenever you're a 5 and you have a 5 in your profile line, this is like the leader. And so whenever you're willing to share your opinions that are different than other people, it's going to be juicy for you, because that eliminates all of the bozos that don't need to be sniffing around your content. Like that just, like, I've never said it in that way before, but I love that. Like it really does. And I understand this deeply because I'm a 5 too. But whenever you share your opinions, like it eliminates the people that aren't going to buy anyways, or aren't going to be for you anyways, that feel really good. And so it's just about being brave. It's about being brave. And especially because you have that 3 line mixed into it and as well, like instead of feeling like a hot mess whenever things don't work out, instead of feeling like, oh my God, just like, why doesn't it feel like I can ever get my shit together? Or why does it feel like things will work and then they don't work? It's like, every time that you have a hitch in your wagon, it's almost like that's your content gold. Like that is exactly what you get to teach to people. So anytime that you're experiencing what feels like a hiccup or feels like the obstacle or challenge, that like if you can see that with this beautiful set of eyes that you have, if you can see that as like, this is gold and this is going to make me money, you are like on top of the world with that. And then with that generator energy, you know what feels good to talk about and what doesn't. Like this is going to be very true to you. So anytime, like, and understand, I want you to get this on a deep level, that there are going to be times that it's going to almost feel like a no whenever it comes to posting and sharing the things because it feels scary. So you get to get really, really specific about your intuition of it's like, am I scared to post this? Or is this I'm not going to post this right now? Like maybe this is something I'm going to revisit. Because on the other side of like posting the things that scare you, and like I had to get really clear about this being a generator too. Cause I was like, where am I like letting fear keep me small and letting it be like, that's instead of a like, let's do this thing that expands us. I'm very much like, I treat my generator energy and my yes and no kind of like a science experiment, because I think sometimes like that yes and no will keep us small. Like, I know like a lot of my human design friends will probably be like, Stephanie, but like, again, this is where like I'm actively, as I speak to you right now, I'm using my line 5 because I don't follow the rules of human design or gene keys because I fully believe at the end of the day, they're a beautiful thing. I love them. I'm obsessed with them in the coolest way possible. But like, I don't believe that they're written in blood. I don't believe that they're written in stone. I don't believe that it's something that needs to keep you playing small or keep you in like a gated community whenever it's supposed to expand you. Like, I fully believe that you or I could channel out life-changing information like this if that's part of our path. Like, so you are no different. Don't give this information so much authority over your life that you forget, like, hey, I am the captain of my ship and I set the tone for what it is that I experience. So I always say, whenever it comes to human design and stuff, like, play with it, experiment with it, see how it works. Like, because there's been times that I've had what felt like a no that ended up like expanding me, that ended up like teaching me something really cool and like coming out the other side and being like, I'm so glad I did that. Even though my first initial reaction was like, like, or like, play small, Stephanie, like play possum, you know? So with the 5, you'll have times like that over and over and over again where you have the opportunity to put your opinions that are kind of scary. And especially if you're a retired people pleaser, like you got to put those opinions out there that are sometimes scary, but like that is the juice that brings in the people that are here for it. So like by me talking about, this is just an example, by me talking about the gene keys in human design as I don't follow the rules, like I don't stick to the script, that's either going to repel people or that's going to bring in the people that are like, yes, I've been waiting for somebody to say this. Like, I want to use it for fun. I want to use it to be playful. I want to use it to see how I can be my best self, but I'm also not married to it because I am the captain of my ship. So with that 3-5, you do get to go into a little bit more of the ooey gooey of like the riding the roller coaster of the process. But then it's almost like at the end, you get to wrap it up in that pretty bow and just like throw lickety split wisdom at people and just like drop, like mic drop what you learned. And they'll be like, that literally blew my mind. And it makes you feel so relatable because you take people on that journey with you of like how you came to learn this like big, bold lesson. And that's what makes you shine. So like you do get to use your emotions. Like I really think it's interesting because if you like are a 5-1 or a 5-2, it's more about like right there. That's all you need to know. Like I got my kitchen dirty. Here you go. Here's the cupcake. But whenever you're like a 2-5 or a 3-5, there's a different flow to it because that 3 is going to be the strongest for you, right? And then you wrap it up with that lickety split wisdom. So, and just knowing that you're a leader. And so let me know any other questions you guys have about your gene keys or human design. I'm just like kind of hanging out today. Just wanted to answer questions that anybody has about like, if you have questions about certain gene keys that are in certain locations, or if you have questions about your profile lines and how you can use them to show up differently in your online business, I'm here for it. But if you have been wanting to learn more about these gene keys, whether you're brand spanking new or you've been in the gene key world for years, like I had people that were in the gene key guides program through the website that were like, Stephanie, I need to learn more about how to use this for my business, that jumped into my very first round of this program. But make sure you sign up for the pre-sale because we're starting round 2 mid-September. But whenever you sign up, you get that special pricing. This is the lowest it's going to be from here on out. But also you get instant access to round 1's information. So you can like dive right in and start learning about how you can use these gene keys for your business. And then as well, whenever we jump into round 2 in September, there's going to be space for hot seat coaching. There's going to be space for like, how do I use this in my business? How can I map this out to become really successful? Wish I had screen recorded. Can you download the live and post it somewhere? I don't know how to do that on here. I got here late, but curious to know how you got into teaching Gene Keys. So it's so funny. My background is actually I moved across the country to become a lavender farmer, and I didn't know anything about lavender. I just like my family had a farm. My dad was sick, and so I came to take it over and to make products from scratch. And through that time of like giving people medicine of like all natural stuff, I unlocked my psychic ability. And so I really started like doing tarot readings, energy updates, telling everybody about the Mercury retrogrades and all the things. And I did that for years. And I did psychic medium readings. Like I thought the last stop at my train station was going to be being like Teresa Caputo. Like I thought that I was just going to talk to dead people for the rest of my life because it felt really good. And I was super excited about it. And I had like insane readings come through. But what ended up happening is that I had known a little bit about human design, but it never really clicked. And it's funny because a lot of esoteric topics for me, I'll just read it once and it like sticks, which that did not happen for me in high school. Just so you know, like it's just the information that I love that does that. And so it was weird because like human design, I was like, this is very like esoteric topics. Like, why is it not like clicking automatically the way all of the rest of them do? And so I just kind of like put it in my back seat. You know, I didn't think too much of it. And I was just sitting at the farmer's market one day, like selling my products. I was like really unhappy with doing that farming work and working at the farmer's market anymore because it just didn't light my soul up anymore. I was like, this was once my dream career. Like I got out of selling cars to do this. And I felt like kind of weird that it was like I had everything I wanted, but it didn't feel good anymore because I knew that like my psychic gifts wanted to come out and play differently. And so I ended up I was on Facebook during a farmer's market. I was like sweating my face off, and somebody put in like a Facebook group, they're like, hey, do you know, like, does anybody know a gene key reader? And so I just Googled gene keys, and then I literally became a troll for 4 months, and I just studied it nonstop. And I realized through studying it everywhere that I could gobble up information that the information was not easy to understand if you're just like wanting to learn it quickly. So like, I'm very like, I want to learn it fast. But so I was able to take that and like break it down in a way where instead of like 6 pages of information that you have to learn, that's like very poetic, very beautiful, but break that down into a sentence, break that down into an emoji so that you can understand it and just apply it right away. But also like once I started learning these gene keys, human design clicked for me within like 4 days. I spent like 4 days studying it, and I was like, okay, I know what I need to know. And now let's move forward and let's start teaching it, because nobody was out there making videos about it. Nobody was out there talking about it. And especially not with business, scared the living daylights out of me. And if you've ever felt like this, where you're like, nobody's taught it this way before, or like, I have a different opinion than a lot of people that talk about this topic, I want you to know that it is so, so safe for you to go out there and get good at teaching your way. Because whenever you speak and you teach from your point of view, so even the way that I talk about certain gene keys, certain human design gates, AKA, is going to be so different than you hear them anywhere else, because I let it stir and purr through my own system. Like I do what I call the kitchen sink method, where I've studied the I Ching, I've studied human design, I've studied all the gene keys, the gene key book. And then it literally like filters through my system. And after doing like hundreds of different readings, I have a different approach to it. I have a different viewpoint, like a different picture that comes into my head. And so that's what I'm really passionate about teaching. Like whenever I teach gene keys, is like, go do it your way. Go do it in a way that feels really good. And plus, to wrap up the story, whenever I was doing those psychic medium readings and like talking to people that had crossed over, it became so apparent to me that they're good. Like the readings that would come through were so strong and so like, oh my God, this person is literally like right here. And they love their person like that's living. They love them so much. But it was more of like, Stephanie, we're good. Like, go teach people that are alive how to live. Like, that was what it just kept coming over and over and over again. And so I was so grateful for that time that I did all of that psychic work and I did that mediumship, because it kind of like got me prepped up to start showing up with the gifts that were in my gene keys. So whenever I came across my gene keys, I was like scared, but I was ready to roll with it. So I'm studying now and find it so fascinating. Want to bring it into my coaching business. I'm still like up here. Thank you for your patience. Want to bring it into my coaching business. Deepen your own learning expansion. My course is going to be perfect for you then. If you want to learn this in like a fun, enjoyable way where you get coaching along the way with it, that Decode Your Keys is going to be perfect. So I love it too. Ooh, radiant. Ooh, your radiance is in 62.1. I am obsessed with the 62. I talk about the 62 a lot. And so for you, as I was saying a little bit earlier, the radiance is one of like, to me, one of the most important keys that like gets overlooked a lot. Like people don't really talk about it. And I know whenever I first started, I overlooked it too, but really like the radiance key is how you are mentally and physically healthy whenever you tap into this energy. And so for you having that radiance in the 62, it's funny because like the shadow at the lowest level, the 62 is called intelligence. And you'd think like, why is that like bad? And actually it's because you're trying to get everything perfect and regurgitate information perfectly so that you don't ruffle any feathers and you don't piss anyone off. And I have the 62 in my culture. So, and this was like one of those ones that whenever I came across the 62, it was almost like all the other gene keys woke up for me because I realized how important that one was. And I just started zooming in on it. But what I feel with the 62 is kind of what I was touching on a few minutes ago when I was saying it's actually about you learning information and then you letting it stir and purr in your own system, gobbling it up and then shining it through your heart instead of like mentally trying to get it all perfect, right? So your understanding is perfect. And whenever you share from your understanding is when you open the door for so many more people to get it. Because if I didn't teach the gene keys in this particular way, like more people wouldn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? So because I choose to teach it differently, and like I said, like over on my Instagram, like use funny memes and like do weird shit. Like I open up the door for more people that wouldn't have understood it. Like I've had some very, very smart people come and knocking at my door that are like, Stephanie, I tried to learn this before, but it just hasn't like really clicked like how to apply it to my business, how to make it make sense. And I'm like, I'm here for you. Like, I got you. Like, let's do it in a fun way. Let's do it in a way that like lights your fire, lights your inspiration up. So yeah. So that 62, I talk about that idea that I was just covering a lot because I feel like we teach from our gene keys, right? Like some of the things that you'll make courses around will be your gene keys, like will be inspired by your gene keys. Like, and that's really, really cool. Like I made a course this summer that was called Keys to Confidence. And it was all about applying your gene keys to like how you show up online. And it was inspired by that 60-second gene key. Like if it wasn't for that 60-second gene key, I wouldn't have probably made that course. It like inspired an entire 6-week, 6-module course, like crazy pants bananas. Yeah. I'm a 4-6 generator. Ooh, I'm a 4-6 generator with a bit. Oh my gosh, all of you little intuitive creatures. I believe everybody's intuitive, by the way. Like whenever you step into my playground, like it's just like baseline. We're all psychic as fuck. You know what I mean? Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But that 57 in your life's work is all about like whatever you do, there is intuition being infused into it, like very, very strong intuition being infused into it. And so I like to give this example whenever I talk about the 57th gene key. And this is just how you can understand how you can apply your life's work. And then I'll touch on the 4-6 in a second. But so I use my life's work and I sent out an email about this today, by the way. I use my life's work very literally. So my life's work is a 32. The archetype is called the Success Oracle. And so for me, as soon as I heard those words, it was like a million lightning bolts hitting my system. It was like, oh, fuck yeah, Stephanie, that's all we do. Excuse my French. I'm getting all crazy today. But it's one of those things that like, as soon as I heard those words, I was like, of course I'm a success oracle. Of course, like I've always been pointing people in the right direction of what will make them successful. Like it was one of those things where like somebody could say a paragraph to me and I can pull out like a magical scarf. I can pull out what it is that like they need to move forward with or they need to develop more. And so I use mine very literally. My husband, on the other side, he is the 47 in his life's work, and it's called The Alchemist. And so he does IT work for a deli meat factory. He like makes sure all of their buildings, all of their machines, everybody's, even like down to everybody's cell phones. He's got a team now, but at first it was just him. And so you'd be like, how can an IT professional like be an alchemist? And actually it's because he takes every issue, every problem, and he's able to absolutely turn it into gold. So anything that's wrong with the technology or anything that's going on with people, because if you think about it, like a lot of people at their jobs, whenever they're frustrated and they like come to the IT guy, they're like pissed off, they're annoyed, and they're like, why will this not work? Like technology. And so he actually like soothes that for them. He teaches them how to respond if something like that comes again. And he's just like delightful. You know what I mean? So like he infuses it. It's kind of like the underbelly of his work. It's like, yes, your title is IT. We get that. But like you're actually an alchemist. And so whatever it is, Hannah, that you choose to do, like you're going to be using your intuition very strongly. It doesn't matter if you make fancy pancakes. It doesn't matter if you wire houses for a living. So like just because you're an intuitive doesn't mean you have to go run around with tarot cards and like make that your life, unless you're like, oh, I love that. But like like there's so many ways that you can use your intuition. You could do it for like marketing and like branding for people. You can do it whenever it comes to like business coaching, things like that. But what you're going to really lead with is kind of like what I was talking about with the line 3. The line 4 is also like you're able to use emotion really, really well in your content. And so lead with your pain or pleasure, like use this big squishy heart. I always say the 4s, like you're like a living Care Bear, this big squishy heart of yours, and show people who you are. Because like, honest to God, your intuitive insight is going to feel like a big hug to them. Like people come to you because they want to feel like not coddled, but supported and lifted up. And like you have that ability. So whatever it is that you're passionate about, infuse your intuition into it and think about it as like helping people, being like a champion for people and like bringing groups of people together, especially with that 4, because you're so good with community. Like, and I always tell line 4s, I'm like, please, for the love of God, get your podcast going, get on lives, on Instagram lives, on TikTok lives with other business owners, do the things to create this like 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon type of vibe in your life. Because really, like, the more connected you are, the more opportunities are going to be around every single corner for you. Changing career paths. I'm also looking to show up more on social media. Girl, you are in the right place, because I feel like this information really helps us show up as the best version of ourselves. So like, yeah, if you're wanting to show up more on social media, I would just start, because like, here's the thing. If your brand's thinking new to like really wanting to show up in your online business, because I know for me, I used to treat my online business like my side girlfriend, like my side hoe. And now she is my golden girl. Like I am married to my business. Like I love my business. It's part of me. And so one of the things that I can say, like whenever you're first starting, is it does not matter if you're not crystal clear at first. It's just about starting. It's just about showing up, because the more you do it, just like an ice sculpture, you chip away until the figure beneath it becomes very, very crystal clear. And so it's just about doing it over and over again. You'll learn a lot about yourself, especially as a 4, the more that you interview and like talk with other people that are doing similar things to you. And like, don't let it intimidate you. I know it can sometimes feel like scary to put yourself out there in a big way, but it's actually like one of the biggest ways to fast track your success. So do that for yourself. How do you find what your gene keys are? So what you do is you go Google free gene key profile, and the gene key website should come up first, and it'll say like free profile, and you enter your date, time, location of birth, and then you will see 11 different circles. All of those different circles mean different things. If you want a little bit of a breakdown, like all throughout my Instagram, like if you keep scrolling down, I've had different times and different seasons where I've posted about each one of those gene keys and how you can learn it and how you can read it. And now I'm like, I'm bored making graphs. So like, I just teach people how they can infuse it into their business. But yeah, if you go follow me over there and you scroll, like since last fall, like since last year, I've been posting about the gene keys. So you'll find a lot of juice in there. Even if you scroll down through my TikTok, I have a lot of different information about how you can use them. But if you really want to learn them and like have more up-to-date teachings about this kind of stuff, my Decode Your Keys course, it starts mid-September, but actually my pre-sale ends this Friday. So whenever you sign up for that, you get access to the round 1 of the course where we went into what every single sphere meant and how you can use the different lines and use the different all the different lines to show up better in your business. And then in this round 2, we're going to be talking about each of the 64 gene keys. We're going to be talking about like a business map and how you can plant all of these different things, kind of combine your human design and your gene keys to make this map of success of the things like how you can show up best for yourself. So if you are wanting to learn more about the gene keys in like a fun and easy way, in a way that like you can also be supported, there's opportunity for hot seat coaching in there. Just make sure you go sign up for that course. I'm excited. Me. Do the keys go to a Ferrari? They can. What is gene key when you don't care what people think? Okay. 3, 6. Man, Jen, I have been having the time of my life with manifesting generators lately. Like I grew up in a house with manifesting generator parents. I worked with a business coach for 6 months that was a manifesting generator. A lot of my clients are manifesting generators. So it is the season of manifesting generators in my world. Like I am one gate away from being a manifesting generator, but it's kind of like how I said, growing up in a household with manifesting generators and surrounding myself with that energy, I've learned to speak the language and help people with their like ADHD squirrel brains, like channel all of their energy through one prism to be successful in their business. So I love manifesting generators. I think you guys are freaking brilliant and magical and wonderful. And I don't think that your squirrel brain is a bad thing at all. I think you can actually use it and harness it to be very, very successful. I've met so many successful business owners that are manifesting generators. So me. How do we find these numbers? Oh, yeah. So you just go Google free gene key profile and it will pull up your chart. It'll be 11 different circles. Like I said, I have a lot of different content over here, over on my Instagram, where you can learn how to like decode those. But really in that gene key course is where we're going to like dive into it and I can answer your questions. Any advice for 2-4 manifester? Lysorgus 33rd key, wanting to step into entrepreneurship. So you are going to have with that 33rd key a little bit more of this like solo path where like you don't need as many people telling you what to do. Because like, honestly, the more that you sit and you take other people's point of view, the more you close off from like your own internal dialogue. Because as a 33, there is a really big emphasis on like having your time to retreat and to sit with your own ideas. And so one of the ways I have the 33 in my pearl. And so I used to butt heads with this guy because I was like, you're annoying me and you're boring. Like, I guess it was like the archetype of it was called like the shaman. And I was like, I've already been in the spirituality world for years. I've already done like animal shamanism. I was like, I want something cool. I want something different. But once I studied it, because it was like one of my very most important gene keys, I was like, I got to make friends with this guy, right? I fell in love with it because I realized like it's all about this powerful retreat and like actual, like you're very good at thinking. So like the way that you think is above and beyond what most people do. So like if you ever felt like you have a lot of brain activity, you do. and that's why you don't need other people's stuff clouding your judgment. You like one of the best things that I started doing for myself whenever I really started like tuning into this was I stopped answering the phone for the people in my life that had the same problems with a different mask on it over and over and over again every week. Like I really stopped like answering the phone in general as much as I could because I would like go out on walks and just like spend time with my own delicious thoughts. And the more that I did that, the more energy that when I did come out, whenever I did show up, I had so much more energy to shine. And so since you're a 2-4 as well, like you already know you have that like hermit vibe, but like I don't ever like, I make jokes about the hermit stuff all the time because I'm a 5-2. So like I get it on a deep level, but I also think a lot of 2s hold themselves back because they're like, oh, well, I just need my alone time. I'm just an introvert. I'm just this, that, the other. Blah, blah, blah. You have just as much strengths as being an extrovert, just so you know. And it's funny because like a lot of the times 2-4s are like, no, I like being alone more, but like everybody else outside of you sees you as like such a friendly people person. And so you have both of those aspects, but it's all about like as long as you almost have your time sealed off for like the just you, that whenever you come back into those groups of people, you're that much more potent. And also, I don't study manifestors a lot, but I live with one. My husband is a manifester. And, what I have seen with him is there is just like these real, and don't let this limit you by any sense, but there really is, I see seasons with them where it's like a bunch of stuff happens and then you go back in this like co-creative mode, and then a bunch of movement and then this like co-creative, and like don't ever make that space in between have to be like a month or 2 months. Like, I think you don't need to take a long vacation in your hermiting time, you know what I mean, or in your non-moving time. But like, because there's sometimes that like when we challenge ourselves and we push ourselves a little bit, like the grooviest stuff comes out. I've had that happen so many times where it's like, maybe I don't feel like sitting down to write that email, but like I do it. And I learned how to be better at writing emails. And I felt really good when I did it in the long run. So there are times though where you will notice that like you're going, and then you'll have that pullback. So it's like this magical like back and forth that you have in between that 33, in between that 2-4, and in between like being a manifester. You have a lot of this back and forth. So it's almost like you get to master it. Like you really, more so than anybody else that I've ever talked to, gets to master that. Yeah. So you'll have your times. And so there will be, I'm not like huge either on batch creation because I used to do that. And I actually saw like how quickly I would change in that time of like making content, where if I wanted to post it 10 days later, I was like, I don't even have the same feelings about this or the same energy as this anymore. And so it's really about just knowing that like what you create is going to be enough. It's understanding that like, yes, you can have like things in your folder, but like you are going to like rapidly grow. So let yourself rapidly grow. Let yourself document yourself through this process of like what you do in your alone time versus what you do whenever you're out and about and shining. So blend that in with your passion. And I just found out Gene Keys is neat. I'm a 6-2 reflector. Oh my gosh. Yes. So much 2 energy. I'm here for it. But hopefully, what? I'm like, I'm such a nerd whenever it comes to trying to read people's names sometimes. I'm like, what Sirius says? But yeah, take that information, run with it, understand your processes and the way that you show up, and like let yourself ride that wave, because that's going to be the most successful for you. But yeah, 6-2 reflector. Reflector, you are so a special little friend, because, and I always tell this to reflectors, like you have a leg up in the sense that like not a lot of people that are reflectors are out there like making a splash and like making a stink about the fact that they're reflectors, because more reflectors want to read your content. Like reflectors need somebody to like be the spearhead and be like, hey, this is how this person lives as a reflector. So it's almost like documenting your journey is going to be the juiciest thing you can do, especially with that 6 energy as well, because you live that first 30 years as the 3, you ride your roller coaster, right? And then you come out the other side and you have like 2 perspectives, right? You have the perspective of being in it, and you have the perspective of seeing it from 20 steps ahead. And you're like, okay, I can paint a picture. I can paint a vision of how people can navigate their way through life, of like how to get from point A to point B. And this is how I do this. And the more that you really like own your reflector gifts and don't let it limit you, like, cause I don't see a lot of reflectors just like standing up and being like powerful as like, instead of being like, oh, I absorb everybody's stuff. It's like, you are the captain of your own ship, little Black Lotus. Like you get to choose how it is that you interpret all of these different energies flowing through you. And you have such an opportunity because nobody else really has your point of view, because you're such a small part of the population. Use that to your benefit, because there are people that are just like you that are hungry for what it is, how you interpret the world, whether you teach business, whether you teach fitness, they want to learn from you. So like stand up and be proud of that aspect. Lean into it. I always say that to reflectors. I'm like, lean into this, because like people are hungry for it. Like the people that need you. Okay. So that's just what I'm saying. And of course, you'll have people that come to you that like aren't reflectors or like other stuff, but you will see that a lot of people have just been like waiting to hear another reflector's point of view, and that helps change the trajectory of their life. And they'll be like, how do I pay you? How do I get into your offers? I want to see, like, I want to learn because I see things the way that you see things. That was great. I really appreciate it. I've been hanging out on your lives and I love how you talk about this. Thank you, Hannah. I'm so glad you're here. I literally love this because I used to be so scared of like the whole community dynamic. And like there was a long time where my lives, I would literally be talking to the pigeons outside my window and I'd be like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I showing up if nobody's there? Because sometimes like whenever you show up and you don't feel like that reciprocated energy where I was like, I just want to talk to people, like it can be very like you can feel defeated, right? But it was just like for me, I saw that time as like, hey, I get to just get really freaking good. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. I'm gonna post these videos anyways. That was like last year. I would just post all these videos where I just talked and I was like, you know what? Somebody's gonna come across this exactly when they need it. They'll get the message that they need. And I was able to get better and better, more confident, and be able to like talk to a lot of people at once. So I've had this relationship with lives where it used to scare the living daylights out of me. And now it's become something that's really fun. And I appreciate every single person that comes and hangs out because it's just, I know that if you're drawn to this, like you think differently, like you are different and you get to go out there and attract clients and make money from those things that make you different. And that's just a cool place to be, you know? You're welcome. To do it right then and there. Yes. Oh, I'm like just now seeing my little manifestor friend. I'm just now seeing your comments. I'm so squirrely about that. I always forget to like scroll down. I love to see this. It's been a challenge. Thank you for this insight. To do it right then and there. Oh, Siri. Oh, thank you, Siri. Okay. Oh, that makes it easy to like memorize too. But do you like have your phone talk back to you a lot? Or if people say your name? Siri. Yeah, 6'2". Oh, you're 6'2" also? Yeah, mental projector. Dang, that's cool. I don't know much about mental projectors. That is my girl, Brandy Yates's specialty. I call her the projector or the president of the projectors because she is just like such a guiding light for projectors. She does human design readings almost daily. We did a really fun business retreat together this summer, and I just adore her. Like, love her so much. But I always send projectors her way if you haven't gotten a reading from her yet, because she knows what it's like, lives and breathes as a projector, but B, like she does it in such a way that like she really shines her light. She doesn't just like wait for the invitation as the way most people do. She really like gets up there and she's like, now you can invite me or not, you know? So it's cool. Just learned about, I'm a 3.6 evidently too. I wonder which spot that's in. All the time. You get it all the time with your phone. Yeah. But I came first. I love that. Okay. So my advice, I was just giving reflectors, is to own it. Like own that so hard in your online business. Like almost above everything else. It's like your passion, the thing that you're passionate about, and the fact that you're a reflector and how you interpret that. And you will be shocked at the amount of people that you start bringing in whenever you make your content around that. And then really utilizing like your profile line to help you show up too is going to be a big deal with that as well. Changing up the 2 energy. 5-1 Manny Jen. Hi, little sunflower. But yeah, so for the reflectors, just to wrap it up, it's just about like leaning into that as your superpower rather than that being like something that's detrimental, because like people want to see from your point of view. They want to learn from your point of view. Even whenever I was studying human design and I didn't see a lot of like I was trying to learn about all of the different types, right? And I just didn't see a lot of things being written from a reflector's point of view to help me like understand it a little bit better. So use that as your leg up. But yeah, changing up the 2 energy. We love the 2 energy, but the 1s are so different than the 2. So like my husband's a 5-1, I'm a 5-2. And like, it's oodles and oodles different in a sense. Like we still have like that same 5 energy that we bring, but like that 1 and that 2 makes a huge difference. And so where the 2s are a little more fly by the seat of your pants intuition, the 5-1, like having that 1 there, that is like you're going to be willing to be like that archaeologist. Like you're willing to go get the information that the rest of us are too dang like lollygagging around to get, but we like desperately need. We like need that information. We need that logic. We need that understanding. We need that like sense of like you have this like boldness and this sense of security in who you are that just like radiates out of you. Like because you have that information, because you know you dotted all the I's and you crossed all the T's, like that's going to be one of the things that makes you stand out and like makes you glow to your ideal clients because you feel so very confident in the information that you're bringing forward and you're willing to like it's almost like you go and study and you go gather all this knowledge and then you get up on your soapbox. That's what I say a lot about 5s. I talk about soapboxes a lot because you are this like little prophet to an extent. Like you are this like they call it the heretic, right? But you are like this little prophet that comes in and you bring this information where, okay, so like the 5-1, you like went and you learned all of this stuff and you gobbled up this information and now you're going to like teach it to people and you're going to like cut out the BS. Like I think about the 5-1s as the people who it's like you read all of this stuff and then you can let go of the things that like aren't necessary for people to move ahead. And you almost give people like a shortcut to the information that you learned, right? You're like, okay, I learned all of this stuff, but like this doesn't need to be included because all they need to know is this, right? Where I think about like the 5-2s as more of like, they just intuitively know, like if they were to look at the book, they just intuitively grab what it is, what stands out to them, and then they share it from that point of view. But like you're very anchored into like logic, into even statistics, even things that like are going to make people that need that feel pulled to you. Okay. And so emotional authority here. Yeah, my husband's an emotional authority too. But I love Manny Jens. You're so beautiful. Like, because truly, it's all about being able to take all the different things that you love, all the different things that you gobbled up information about, and shine it through one light. Shine it through a prism. And I'm not saying like you have to stick to that for the rest of your life because that would be boring as heck. And I often make jokes about the fact that like intuitive people, like you think that you're the only person to ever have like 23 rebrands and rebirths. It's like, everybody does that. Like if you're in business long enough, if you're in online business long enough, you're going to have rebirths. You're going to have where you change your ideal client. You're going to have where you totally call yourself something different. And that is okay. That is okay to do. But I do always tell manifesting generators, I'm like, you don't have to go off like every single whim. Like your business is a business at the end of the day. Like this is where old discipline Stephanie comes in, where I'm like, I really help manifesting generators like steer themselves in the right direction instead of like cows running in every direction. Oh, no, I like this better. Okay. If you think about like ripping a juice box open and like the juice just flying everywhere, instead, like manifesting generators get to put the straw in the juice box and shoot the juice through just like in a way that'll be really, really potent. So think about yourself like that, like all of the things, all the interests that you have, like you don't have to make every single one of them a business, but the ones that you feel especially like an affinity to or like drawn to, it's like, how do you put that through your lens? And even though I'm not a manifesting generator, I still have to do that with Gene Keys all the time because I could have just like moved on to another thing rather than the Gene Keys, but I actually like stuck my feet in and I was like, you know what? There's so much more here. Like there's so many ways that I could talk about this that like can make people like wake up and see things in a different way. And so like I still thread like mindset into my work. I still thread like all different things about business, about content creation, but I do it through the lens of the Gene Keys. And that's something that manifesting generators, like when you learn how to masterfully do that and still have like your fun on the outside too, like that is whenever you become very successful. I know a lot of manifesting generators that are very wealthy and they figured out how to do this in their business. So think about it, like taking all these things that you love and shining it through one light, shining it through one prism. Oh, your life's work is a 3.6. Ooh. I took my coffee sip. Now I take my water sip. Surprised my coffee's still going. What time is it? Oh my God, it's 11:55 a.m. It almost feels later. But it's not. Like literally, I get to just hang out with you guys, and then the rest of my day, I get to read. I get to finish. I don't know if I'll finish it tonight, but A Court of Mist and Fury. I read all of the Throne of Glass books, and I had always read. This is just kind of like a side note for fun, just in case anybody else is like a fantasy nerd too. But I always read like male written fantasy, and so I had read like the Game of Thrones books. I had read like all the Witcher series, and then I had like gotten into Harry Potter, and I ended up coming across the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, and I really liked that. And so I started the A Court of Thorns and Roses that everybody talks about on TikTok. That's like sexy fairy books. And I wasn't crazy about the first one, but I stuck it through. And the second one, I'm like, oh, this is juicy. So I have like a couple more books in this series. And then she's got 2 more books. Apparently it's like the Marvel universe where like all of her things are going to cross over into the same universe. So I'm like, well, of course now I have to read the 3rd series. So the rest of my day is just like sexy fairies. So I love stuff like that. I love like people, like whenever people create their own world, I think that is like so cool. I think that is such a fun thing. Like even on like TV shows, when it's something that's like original that hasn't been done before, I love that. It revs my engines. But okay. Life's work of 3.6. This is like almost like I don't have no idea why this image is coming to my brain so small, or so big, but like I've never explained this in this way. And I've only seen this movie a few times whenever I was a kid, but the 3.6, they call it like the eternal child. And for some reason I am picturing that little girl from Neverending Story that like had a brain, like I don't even remember most of it from that movie because I didn't want to ever see the horse in the sand pit. But for some reason with you, it's just like you have this eternal youth inside of you, this like glittery, shimmery hope. But on like a big level, you're so full of wisdom. Like you've experienced so many different things through life that like, especially with that 0.6 energy, I feel like the 6s, you're in this world, but you're not of it. And so you have this like serious wisdom beyond your years that almost like, I don't even talk like this a lot anymore, but it almost feels very like multidimensional. It almost feels like it spans across time and space where it's like, you don't even know how you get all of the answers that you have. It's just like this clear, full body, like a bell ringing through your body know-how. So this is really fun because sometimes I talk about these gene keys, like straight up in a sense of like, I'm business, I'm this, but like a lot of times these intuitive readings come through. And like I was saying, the kid from like the little girl from Neverending Story, like just seared in my mind. That's so strange. I love it. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, I'm glad you like the books too. Ah! Yes. I like to make it digestible. Yes, me too. Sorry, I wasn't looking at all these comments while I was talking about my books. But I'll continue with the 3-6. So the 3s, there is a certain like that gene key 3. There is a certain element of like, I love the way actually that the Gene Key website puts this one. And it's always stuck in my brain very strongly. And it said something like of the idea of like your life is built on sifting sands. And that's really weird because I was just talking about the horse. This is so weird. I love how it all connects together. But yeah, it says your life is built on shifting sands and it's an okay thing. Like that doesn't have to be a bad thing because at the end of the day, like you're going to continuously change. The things that you love, the things that you find important will always evolve and will always grow, sometimes faster than you feel like you can bring it down into earth. But it's almost like, kind of like I was talking about the manifesting generators. It's almost like putting a saddle on the wind, right? Like you've got to eventually like be able to saddle this thing that you love talking about and ride it for a while. And then it will evolve, it will grow, but don't let your brain take away from like what you can actually create here, what you can actually bring down into life and make palpable. Because sometimes these ideas can move so fast for you that you're already on to the next thing. But like the thing that you feel very, very strongly about, how can you bring that down into earth? I often like to picture, like I said, I used to do tarot. And I picture like the magician card where he like actually like brings down the sword, brings down the cup, brings it all down into reality and lets it be expanded through him, lets it like come to life. That was like a very esoteric reading that you just got, my friend. Yes, I love the dew energy. Can't talk about two poor profiles. Childlike Empress, yes. She was a big influence in your life? That is so amazing. I've been doing psychic medium work for years. And, last year at this time, I let go of the way that I used my psychic abilities. Like I had said, whenever I was doing mediumship readings, whenever I was doing tarot back in the day, and how I used to pick up on everybody else's energy, and it would feel heavy and it would feel draining and it would feel like I didn't want to go to restaurants and I didn't want to go to shopping malls, things like that. And last year I was just like, I'm done picking up shit. Like I'm done being an empath. I'm done like doing these things. And so it scared me because I was like, I'm going to set the tone for my life. And it scared me because I was like, what if that means that I don't see things as clearly as I used to see them? Because I'm very like clairvoyant. I have like pictures that come into my head. So you'll hear whenever I talk about the gene keys a lot, I describe it as pictures so that you could like picture it in your brain or like lay it out that way. But it was one of those things I was so scared because I was like, what if my gifts that I worked so hard on developing go away? Like, what if that goes away? But everything inside of me was so strong in the fact that was like, no, you don't have to pick up on anybody else's stuff anymore. You get to just be you. You get to be so in tune with God, so in tune with this universe, and like the answers will come through. And so it's just even like flashes like that of like you saying, hey, that was a big influence of my life. And like, I've never talked about that before. That it just like shows that you're allowed to grow. There's no rules for how your intuition works. There's no rules for how the business world works. There's no rules for any of it. It's what you believe is possible for yourself. It's what you believe is important. It's your mindset towards things. And so, yes, there were times where I was like terribly frightened about how that would like pan out. But it's just like, that's another wink from God for me that it's like, hey, like whenever you listen to yourself, you will never be steered in the wrong direction. So if you are somebody, by the way, that has been in the coaching industry for a while or the online business industry for a while, and you've seen all these guidelines, all the ways to be rich, all the ways to be successful, I am telling you, there is not a one size fits all, and you get to call the shots with how you experience this world and how it works out for you. So, Bradley, do you agree? Bradley agrees. He gets it. He's my little assistant for the day. He gets it on a deep level. Yeah, I just built boundaries. Like I just decided I didn't want to pick up on people's stuff anymore. So this is me showing you a little piece of my heart. That movie saved my life as a kid. Black Lotus, like that is so beautiful. I am so glad that you are here today and that your little angel, the childlike empress came through. I love that. Yeah. Make sure you go follow me over on Instagram too, because I'm putting stuff on this little smile. I know, isn't that funny? Because I post lots of stuff about gene keys. I post lots of stuff about business and how you can just see things differently than what basically like what the rule book says. Like you get to make your own rules. And honestly, like on this note, I feel very complete today. I feel very excited and very like glad that I got to sit here with you and just like have these conversations, everybody. And honestly, we don't always know what it is that we need to do next, right? But with these gene keys for me, all I knew was like, if I just lean into these things that this chart says and I just play with them, if I just experiment with them, if I just see like what happens whenever I show up with this energy, I have been having the most fun of my life because at the end of the day, like your business is supposed to be fun. Like your business, like I very much feel like I'm for the people that are supposed to like laugh their way to multi-millions. Like I'm very much for the people that are supposed to have like joy in their business where it's just like their eyeballs are wide, there's like rainbows behind their head, and they're just like, I love my life. Like one of the very first things whenever I love that too. Whenever I started doing like mindset work, I was like, one of the things I would say to myself was, I live the most authentically joyful life. Like I live the most authentically joyful life. And I didn't even know why I said it. I didn't know what I was just like, when I feel like joy surging through my bones, surging through my body. And like, yes, it took a little bit of time and it took me like comparing myself to other people in the industry and like trying things out. But eventually I got there and I'm in this place now where I'm like, oh, girl, we are just cracking the surface. Like we get to go crazy. We get to be our wildest, funnest, bravest, most courageous self on the internet, and people pay you for it. People are attracted to it. People want to know your story and they want to learn from you exactly how you are. Like it is a beautiful thing. Such a good reminder that joy is an option for us on this journey for sure. Yeah, it's a fun affirmation. But I am so, so glad each and every one of you was able to join me today. I love, love, love being here and watching everybody like join this community and watching how it grows and watching how people use it differently, because like no two people are going to use these gene keys the same way. And that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it exciting for me. Cause it's like every single time I work with somebody, I'm like, oh, this is something different. So if you have been wanting to learn these gene keys, make sure you go sign up for that Decode Your Key course. Miss Nicole is in there and I'm already so excited. But we start up round 2 mid-September. But whenever you sign up today, you get the special pre-sale pricing that ends on Friday. And you also get access to round 1 where we dive into the gene key chart. Join me in the class. Yeah. Because Nicole is like hanging out in round 1's information where it's like so much information, but it's so good. It's so juicy. And so we'll start up round 2 in September, but you get instant access to that group and that course. And yeah, that's if you want to learn how to do it in like a really fun way so that you can use it for yourself, but use it with your clients. So it doesn't matter what you do. If you do coaching, if you do fitness, if you do spiritual work, like you get to infuse the power of these gene keys with the work that you do with your clients and help them find the things that make them different and help them come alive in their work too. And so few people are doing these gene keys right now that really you have a leg up in this industry whenever you learn the gene keys, because like there's a lot of people doing astrology, there's a lot of people doing human design, but whenever you also have this kind of thing in your tool belt, it's just a totally different way of looking at that human that you work with, looking at that person and helping them come to life. And also, if you are somebody that has like very much been being pulled to one-to-one coaching, I have a 3-month package right now that I am offering. It's $5,000. You can split up those payments over 3 months, but it's very much where we blend gene keys, we blend human design, we blend this intuitive work with your business so that you feel like you have somebody in the ring with you, helping you be motivated and just pointing you in the right direction as you go. I know that working one-to-one with somebody whenever I was like ramping up my online business, it kept me accountable in a different way that like I actually didn't expect to experience. And it actually helped me to be like very disciplined in my business. It helped me to understand strategy, because like we talk a lot about energy with these gene keys, but there's so much about strategy and action that has to take place as well that really helps us to move the needle in our business. So I am here for you. If you are somebody that wants to apply for that one-to-one coaching with me, just send me a DM and I can send you that application too. But thank you so much for being here today. I am so glad you were all here, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day. I'm going to go read some spicy fairy books, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me, and I will talk to you later. The link is in my bio for that Decode Your Keys course as well, or if you were looking for one-to-one support, just message me. Bye-bye.